And good afternoon. It is Friday. I am not in my normal space. Now, why is that? Because it is Friday. Billy, who runs the front desk, is ill. Her children are ill. So there's just a lot of flu and all that going around. So I am out in the front in the lobby, and people may come in. I don't know. I'm the only one here. And so I'm just going to take the phone and put it on Do Not Disturb. I should have done that a while ago, and I didn't. Anyway, today we're going to talk about autism because it is April, it is Autism Awareness Month, and this is some new research that I didn't even know about, but I'm so thankful that I now know about it, and so you're going to be thankful too. And so you're going to remember when your mom used to say, be sure and eat your vegetables, be sure and eat your greens, right? Well, the research shows that broccoli, yes, broccoli is a great nutrient for someone with autism. So there is this lady, she had a son. Her son developed autism at 19 months. She decided she needed to go back to college to figure out what she needed to do nutritionally in order to help him. So she found out in her research that sulforaphane, don't know if I said that exactly right, which is a plant compound found in cruciferous vegetables, frequently extracted from broccoli seeds and sprouts. The research compelled her to dive in and to publish a review. So, cruciferous vegetables are your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts. Okay, these are the things that produce the sulforaphane. And so that's what we're looking at today. Cabbage also is one of those vegetables that produces this nutrient. And they found out that when she started giving her son an extract of this broccoli, that he felt better. He became clearer with his speech. He started processing things a little better and a little clearer. She said you might not get long sentences, but you do get conversation back and forth. So she's a dietitian by trade. She now recommends sulforaphane as part of a treatment protocol for children with autism spectrum disorder. Even before research elevated sulforaphane as a treatment for autism, many families with children with autism have used the compound. It's found on the must-do list among organizations, doctors, and parents in autism circles. Now, we do deal with autism here at the clinic, but I had never heard this research before, so I was a little out of the loop, but we're in the loop now. Experts say that almost anyone with autism could likely benefit from this extract if they use it in the best way. Now, this is something that teachers need to know because teachers see a lot of autistic children, principals see a lot of autistic children, and there may be parents out there that don't know this, so let the teachers know that broccoli is something that could really help in these situations. So the research goes on to say the experience challenged McGinnis's understanding of autism as a genetic disorder. So a genetic disorder is something like Down syndrome. That is a genetic disorder. There are other genetic disorders as well. There's nothing I can do about that because that's in the body's makeup. People erroneously think that autism is a genetic disorder, and it is not. The compound in broccoli can protect the body from inflammation, DNA damage, and oxidative stress, and these are the factors that are linked to autism through mechanisms tied to improved immune system regulation and detoxification. Sulforaphane checks all the boxes. It's really rare to find a supplement that has this many abilities as sulforaphane, says Dr. Armin Nikogosian, who is a physician who specializes in functional and integrative medicine for autism and other complex conditions. Supplement companies are grinding up broccoli sprouts and seeds into capsules and heavily marketing them with broad claims for autism well before the science established benefits. This was largely based on sulforaphane's documented immune system benefits in cancer studies and other cognitive dysfunction improvements in studies of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. So whoever you are, We can all benefit from broccoli. I do not want to have a degenerative brain disease. I do not want to have Alzheimer's. I don't know that I had to deal with autism in my kids. Pretty much not, if I don't know about it, right? But broccoli is something that I do like. In fact, I had broccoli last night. And so we're finding that broccoli has cancer preventative properties as well, so everybody can take advantage of that. So, sulforaphane, most of the most of the claims were actually supported by the research. So this is very rare, okay? And we know that as holistic people, right? We'll say this, and this, and they'll say, well, where is the research to prove it? Well, they're not researching it. You know, naturopathic people don't have the money to do all the research studies and all that kind of stuff. But with broccoli, they are able to see that there are evidences that support the claims. We started to take it seriously, said the doctor, especially since the case had been made of why shouldn't I have the kids on it, then why should I? The evidence stems from a 2014 PNAS study that was conducted by pediatric neurologist Dr. Andrew Zimmerman and others. He compared 29 boys with autism taking pure sulforaphane supplement of broccoli sprouts to 15 boys with autism taking a placebo. In 18 weeks, the group taking sulforaphane experienced improvements in behavior, social interaction, and verbal communication. 4 weeks after they stopped taking the supplement, scores in all three areas returned to baseline. So the doctor says that the differences were really dramatic. It was very successful, and it was the most successful of any of the clinical trials that we have done. In a follow-up case, a series offered additional insight into the study, including at least one boy who stopped taking sulforaphane after the trial but seemed to experience lasting results. He really turned into the most fantastic child, and he was very relaxed. Definitely something great. It helped him a lot. His friends, his family members, and everybody at home noticed the wonderful change the parents reported. Another participant experienced rapid improvements in behavior and communication. Before taking the sulforaphane, he had no language skills, was making constant noises, had tics, which are involuntary rapid movements and sounds, and appeared to have no control over his body and behavior. He had taken 18 different medications that had had little effect on his symptoms. 2 of the medications, risperidone and aripiprazole, I may not have said that right, are commonly given to children with autism to control their behavior. Side effects were intolerable for him, including sleeping difficulties, constipation, and increasing tics. Now, we're not talking about the bug, right? We're talking about facial tics, rapid eye blinking maybe, or repetitive movements that you can't control, or repetitive sounds that you can't control. So all of these things are linked to autism. They're part of the symptoms of autism, and what they're finding is that the broccoli, the compound in broccoli, helps to take care of these things. The boy's mother, 18 prescriptions, the boy's mother reported that within days of being part of the study, she knew that he was taking sulforaphane and not a placebo. She said, "I want to scream from the rooftops and tell people to give the kids broccoli sprouts because literally it changed my life," his mother said. "Now we can go to the movies, to restaurants, to plays. We went on vacation with another family. We go to church, and we just went to a concert, all the things that we could never do if he had not had this supplement." So Zimmerman, the doctor, noted that sulforaphane offers something unique in autism treatment. Medication used for autism attempt to tamp down unwanted behavior and mood, while sulforaphane works on improving synaptic function, largely by what is induced by what is called a heat shock response. Now, we do this in homeopathy here in the clinic. It's called heat shock proteins, and what it does is I don't want to go into all the technical difficulties of it because it's just too long. It's only a 30-minute program. But those heat shock proteins break through barriers, and they're allowing the cells to do what the cells need to do. Homeopathy does that all the time, and so it's something we're very, very familiar with. Heat shock proteins are also activated when you have a fever, okay? This protein affects the cellular stress response and improves nerve or synaptic function and connectivity. It also increases the expression of a gene that is normally reduced in autism. So it increases the expression of the gene. So this is really, really important. Some children with autism have been observed experiencing symptom reversal when they have had a fever. It's called the fever effect, thus leading researchers to test the fluorophain in children with autism. McGinnis said, she's the mother, she saw the fever effect with her son. During a fever, he stopped flopping his arms, he could speak in full sentences, his language was clearer, and he was calmer. So that is a win-win-win all the way around. When he had a fever, it almost seemed like his brain would work better, and that is essentially what sulforaphane can do, she says. Now, in her paper, she wrote this research paper after she had had this experience with her own child. She explains how toxins can potentially trigger autism. Brain tissue is damaged by free radicals, unstable atoms that harm cells, leading to oxidative stress and mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondria are components in the cells responsible for making energy. If they don't work properly, then the cells become damaged. Too many free radicals from exposure to chemicals, pesticides, nanoparticles, and metal can cause the mitochondria to function at a very low level. People with autism have higher levels of metals and lower levels of glutathione, an antioxidant that protects the mitochondria. Now, this suggests something could be driving the condition from the inside, genetics, and from the outside, exposure to toxins. Now, I'm just going to, step into muddy waters here because for years, holistic people have been saying that the heavy metals in vaccinations are because of autism. When you look at populations that do not vaccinate their children, the Amish is the most popular one, you find no incidences of autism. When you look at countries that don't have forced vaccination, then you find very much less occurrence of autism. If you look at the timeline, and I'm not going to post the timeline because I don't have time today because I'm the only one here, but if you look at the timeline of the increased exposure through vaccinations in our children, you're going to see that there is an exponential increase in autism as compared to the number of vaccines that they get. When holistic doctors have examined the brain of, obviously deceased, Alzheimer's patients, they have found that those brains have a higher incidence of heavy metals in the brain. And so we know scientifically that there is a connection between heavy metals and brain dysfunction. And you can label it whatever you want to label it. You can label it autism. You can label it Alzheimer's. You can label it schizophrenia. We had a guy that came in, and his mom brought him in. He was a young man. He was in his 20s. He was an IT guy. He did computer programming. I don't know exactly what he did, but he was alienating everyone around him. He was alienating his girlfriend. He was alienating all of his coworkers because he had developed these horrible personality disorder, and you couldn't tell who he was on any given day. And so I told the mom, and I did the test and all that kind of stuff, and I told the young man that I thought he had heavy metal toxicity, and we recommended that he do a heavy metal detox. Well, the guy didn't believe me, and he went to his medical doctor, and he had the doctor do blood work for heavy metals, and sure enough, he had very, very high levels of lead and aluminum. And so when he went on our program, did the detox that he needed to do, his personality disorder diminished. It was just gone. He was back to his old self. His mom just loved on me and said, "You've given me my child back." And it's not that I did anything. It's that we know things, and even though the science necessarily doesn't prove, in this case, we do know that when we take care of heavy metals in the brain, that the brain starts to respond in the way that it is supposed to. And so, we have, thankfully, with our new administration, we have RFK Jr. looking at the vaccination schedules, and he is saying that he wants to have science that has not been censored. And so we do have science, but you haven't seen it because it's been censored, because there's so much money invested in the pharmaceutical industry, and people just don't want to rock that boat. So I'm not going to get on that soapbox. I'm just saying that part of the problem with brain disorders is heavy metals in the brain. Too many free radicals can come from exposure to chemicals, pesticides, nanoparticles, and metals. So we have chemicals in everything. We have pesticides in everything. I don't know about you, but when I watch late night television, which I don't do too much of, but when I do, there's a commercial that's been kind of on my heart the last couple of weeks, and it shows broccoli, and they put the broccoli under the fountain, the water, and the water just beads up. And I've had that experience myself with broccoli. You bring our produce home, we wash it, we do all that kind of stuff. Well, when I put my broccoli under the tap and I turn the water on, it just beads up just like in the commercial. Well, the lady then goes and sprays it with this particular spray. I don't even remember what the name of it is, but you can see immediately the broccoli goes from a more pale green to a more vibrant green, and the water just goes into the broccoli, and you can see underneath all the things that are coming out of the broccoli. And so this is something that we're all exposed to in our diets. We're all exposed to with our fruits and our vegetables and that kind of thing. So even though we're trying to do the right thing, we've got all of these exposures. And so, thank God they're coming out with these things to get these pesticides out. Now, nanoparticles. I read a report, and it said that a human being will ingest the size of a credit card, right? So everybody has a credit card. You know what the size of a credit card is. You will ingest that many nanoparticles. I think it was within a year. All right, that's a lot of nanoparticles, and those nanoparticles cross the blood-brain barrier. These are the things that cause the free radical damage, right, which is why we need the antioxidants, and glutathione is the most prevalent antioxidant we have, and most of us do not make enough. It says that people with autism disorder are associated with lower levels of essential sulfur-containing compounds, which helps the body regulate oxidative stress, glutathione, and mitochondrial function. Pinpointing the single cause of autism is likely a fruitless endeavor. In 2024, he noted a myriad of causes responsible for autism and a number of biochemical abnormalities in autistic children, including a higher ratio of oxidized molecules compared to the glutathione molecules. This means someone with autism doesn't have the capacity to sweep away the free radicals. So, we've been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. What sweeps away the oxidative stress? It is the antioxidants. The antioxidants that are found in your dark-colored fruits and vegetables. And so, apparently, with children on the spectrum, they don't have the ability to absorb that nutrition to have the antioxidants to clear away the free radicals. So, we need to kind of look at this with our children. Fortunately, with the Pharmanex products, we do have vitamins for children and adults that are made from fruits and vegetables that have a high antioxidant content in them. And so the doctors are saying that they have a new version that what they're calling autism might not be autism. We call it autism, but it could be mold or lead or another environmental toxin. So again, mold, lead, and environmental toxins. So what is mold, right? Well, we know it's mold, it's yeast, it's fungus, it's whatever you want to call it. We here in South Texas live in the swamp. It's murky outside. It's got high humidity. We get flooded all the time. And so we have a higher incidence of mold in our homes. And so this mold goes into the brain and it causes us to have mitochondrial dysfunction. When we have mold and lead and environmental toxins, heavy metals in the brain, it lowers our IQ. They found that in the research that the lead, right, lead is definitive in neurodegeneration, right? So they haven't researched every single thing, but they do know that lead is one of the things. So there is no guarantee, as in life, there is no guarantee that sulforaphane will work for everyone. Zimmerman says that 5% to 10% of the patients had problems with the sulforaphane during the clinical trials and noted, like medicine, it's not perfect for everyone. Now, if you're not able to absorb a fruit or a vegetable that is here for our food, then you've got gut issues. And gut issues are at the root of almost every neurological disorder. Almost all of us have gut issues because the food that we eat is not real food. It's contaminated, it's adulterated, it's got things in there for flavor enhancing, it's got extra sugars, it's got, even if it's sugar-free, what makes it sweet is an industrial solvent, and there's multiple of them, that makes it sweet, but it was never meant to be eaten. And so when we eat this, we are contaminating ourselves and we're setting ourselves up for huge issues in our cognitive development. One study in 2023 found no clinical improvements in children when giving sulforaphane to 28 children with autism between the ages of 3 and 7 who were followed for 36 weeks. The autism researcher Luke Curtis commented on this study, noting that more research in nutrition and plant chemicals need to be studied to treat autistic patients effectively. Since so many autistic patients consume very low fruits and vegetables, okay, and since many of the phytonutrients may be helpful, treatment with a single phytonutrient may not yield statistically significant improvement. And I would agree with that. When God made vitamins, right, he made them in whole food form. And so while we do have the odd single vitamin here at the clinic, most of the time we do a multi-mineral, multivitamin complex because they're at the same ratio that these vitamins are found in your food. So what we want to do is we want to talk to you about some things that we have in the clinic, and I love this particular product. It's called Vita LF, and it is a superfood that has green, blue, and red whole food antioxidant components in there. Okay, it's got the enzymes, it's got all the things in there. So what does it have in here? It's got, I need my glasses because I don't have enough light in here. But guess what the first thing is? It is spinach, right? It is broccoli. It is barley grains. Let's see what else it is. Oh, thank you. Got more light here. It is barley grains. It is quercetin. It is, it's all organic, right? So it's got your spinach and different things in here, but you can see on the label tons and tons of stuff in here. And it tastes good. I'm not going to open it because it's sealed for your protection, right? But it's got all the good things and it tastes good. It tastes good with water and it doesn't sift out and it's not grainy like so many of the grain powders we had back in the day. It dilutes in water. Now, if you let it sit on your desk, the grains are going to particulate out. You just shake it and they're reabsorbed and you can enjoy it. If you want a little bit sweeter taste, then you can put it in apple juice, of course, organic, and you're going to get your grains that way. So if you're dealing with cognitive decline, if you're dealing with neurodegenerative disorders, if you have a child with autism, you're going to want to give them this because it has all the grains in there. And what do grains do? They pull heavy metals out of the brain. That's why it's so effective. We also have it in a powder form. Now, it does not have as many of the ingredients in the powder form as it does, in the capsule form as it does in the powder form. But they both taste great. I have them on my desk, so I take them. Why do I take them? Because I'm approaching the age where we could have neurodegenerative issues, and I just don't want that. And so, continuing with the studies, it says one study says that sulforaphane underscores how food holds the potential as medicine, a topic that motivates a great deal of autism research and parental curiosity. Exploring the links of diet and behavior motivated Jennifer Guster-Kozak when her autistic son was getting ready to start kindergarten. She had an unshakable feeling that it wouldn't be long before she was forced to put him on medication. She said, I saw firsthand, because she's a psychiatrist, I saw firsthand how kids were being put on antipsychotic medications. Kids as young as 3 and 4 were put on medications for bad behavior. I didn't want my own child to go down that road and get stuck in the cycle of the Western medication route. Realizing they had nothing to do, the family opted to try food instead of drugs to address Evan's symptoms. This included poor communication skills, inattentiveness, and arm flapping. One major turning point for symptom relief was starting him on sulforaphane. She decided to write a pamphlet to share with other parents who were struggling with autism, who asked for referrals, as well as with fellow psychotherapists who would often send their patients into the medical model where they would often begin the pharmaceuticals. She wanted to let them know that there was help beyond medication, and the pamphlet turned into a book, Healing Without Hurting, Treating ADHD, Apraxia, and Autism Spectrum Disorders naturally and effectively without harmful medications. Now, on a little side note, the sulforaphane in the cruciferous vegetables boosts your levels of vitamin D. Some people don't make very much vitamin D, but if you add that broccoli to their diet, their vitamin D levels go extremely high. You can't die from vitamin D levels, so don't get excited about that. But we do need to have vitamin D at a good level in order for our immune system to work properly. Now, somebody asked about the labels. There's a label. It's Physica Energetics. You can't buy this on the store. You've got to go to a health professional to get this. It's only sold to health professionals. We have it. I know the formulator personally. I have spent many hours under his tutelage. And so, I know why it works. I know how it's made. I know that it's 100% organic. And this one is the same as well. So I would prefer, if I had a child with autism, I would prefer a multi-product, multi-grains, your blues, your greens, your reds, the antioxidants that are in there, because you're going to get a better coverage, more coverage than just a single compound. Although sulforaphane is found in all cruciferous vegetables. And so just last night, I ate a cabbage salad with my dinner, and I ate broccoli as well. So I'm covered for the next 24 hours anyway. So I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for liking, for sharing, all that kind of thing, because it is Autism Awareness Month, and we need to get a jump on that. And we need to let our family and our friends know that there is help, and it could be just as easy as changing the diet. All right. I think it was Hippocrates that said, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. So I'm going to sign off with that. It's the weekend. Go relax, enjoy, refresh, recover. Love you so much, and thank you for spending time with me today.